Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And how do you do? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And I love you. Good morning, y'all. This is a brand new day that the Lord has made. And He said, be glad and rejoice in it. Can't you tell I'm joyous, happy, and free? Because He chose me this morning to rise for one purpose that's twofold: serve Him and be of service to my fellow human being. And for that, I am grateful. Well, I'm on a little earlier because I got some work to do on the battlefield. Yes, I do. And guess what? It doesn't matter to me what time God says you go on, because you're only given 1 minute at a time, sometimes only 1 second at a time. And so I just want to welcome you to the Alcoholics Anonymous Daily Reflection, right? Conversation with me from Edwina B's perspective. Don't get it twisted. I don't represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud, grateful, and humble member for 32 plus years as of February the 23rd. Now, the month of March, which we are in now, I'm celebrating my mama's birthday, right? Helen Jones Lamar Hall Taylor, right? Listen, I ain't worried about this hair. I'm acknowledging my mother. I had a praying mother, which is another reason why I'm sitting here before you, because God answered her prayers. So I'm going to start off with my testimonial song. I'm going to read a excerpt from my book, wherever it is. Then I'm going to share with you my Free to Hope World Tour, my very first presentation, and presenting the 12 steps to the whole entire world that's based on spiritual principles only. And you will see the topic of today. And that's not it. So I have to do something different. Okay, so let's put this one in, because it should say material and spiritual well-being for March the 21st. I also want to say again, happy birthday to my daughter, Kenesha Edwina Treasure Dockery. We spent the whole entire day together after I went to my meeting and I went to my church. Then I went to celebrate my daughter's birthday, because with God and with recovery, everything is possible. Without God and without recovery, nothing is possible. So I got my priorities straight. And today is my nephew, Omar Wells' birthday. And guess what? We invited him out, but he didn't show up. We invited Tony Hall, Shamar Hall out. He didn't show up. But guess what? My daughter, myself, my sister, my brother, and God did set me free yesterday, y'all. I didn't have no ill feelings against my siblings yesterday. I am free. To God be the glory. All right, so let's get started. I think I covered everything. So let's start with praising Him. All right, I don't get it twisted. Religion and spirituality, in my opinion, two separate things, right? But let's start with CeCe whining and dancing in the spirit. And y'all know I love to dance. Yes, here we go. Come on, mama. You should praise Him. 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 Oh, when I think of what the Lord has done, look at where he's brought me from. I can hardly hold my peace, and I sure can't keep my seat. You better give me some room to run, just as soon as the anointing comes, I'll be. You should praise him. I'll be. You should praise him. I'll be. Keep on. Don't stop. Yeah. When I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that it's done for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. Thank you for saving me. Said I got to keep. Said I got to keep. Said I got to keep dancing. Oh, you've been too good. And you've been too kind. I'm so glad about it. You're a friend of mine. Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is a friend of mine. Good God Almighty. This is the joy of the Lord. Said the joy of the Lord is my strength. And it's just a lifetime. And it's just a lifetime. Fire. Don't stop dancing. Don't stop dancing. Don't stop. Woo! Dancing with the Spirit. Oh, Lord. Listen, COVID-19 ain't got nothing on me now. But guess what? 2 years ago, I could not have done that. And I thank God for saving me and 9 members of my family from COVID-19. I can breathe, but not 100%. I recognized that last night when I was on the dance floor dancing with the oldies. You'll see some videotapes of it. To God be the glory. When the Spirit hits you, or you're just grateful, you can't sit down. You shouldn't sit down. And guess what? I ain't going to sit down. Oh, I'm going to say it. Hell no. No, I'm not. He's been too good to me. You understand? He's been too good to me. I have to dance when the Spirit hits me. Woo! Thank you, Lord. Okay, so now it's time for me to share with you, let's see, a little bit about my mother, right? And Helen Lamar Jones Hall Taylor, right? We're on 22nd Street. We got the 4-bedroom house and a lot of things that started on Clarion Street appeared to get worse, maybe because we got older, and the abuse that my mother was subjected to by my father, the way he treated my mother, right? And he obviously had that revenge mindset because he found out that my second sister was not his, but one of the Lamars, and particularly the father that my mother was given to. Which is one reason I believe my granny, Ruby Lamar, became an alcoholic, because she couldn't fathom her little girl, Helen, being abused by her husband. But none of this stuff was known because it was a family secret. All right. So it was very turbulent in the early years at 22nd Street, and it continued. And as I said, we got older. And so what? My dad would abuse my mother, and then she would go into the hospital. And my father had the audacity, the nerve to bring one or some of his women in my mother's house to do for her daughters and her son. Yes, did you imagine? Then, come to find out, he was doing something else with them women in the bedroom because I was peeping through the peephole, right? Keyhole. And so, listen, my mother did the best she could. I understand that now because I thought my mother was weak. She was a pessimistic person. She did not fight for herself, stand up for herself. But wow, was I wrong? All she wanted to do was to protect her children. My dad was a provider, but he sure was a hell raiser too. All right, but my mother, bless her heart, I will continue to share about my mother, who I did not like, but loved, and loved her till the day she died, and still love her. I didn't know I had so many characteristics of my mom. I thought I was just like my dad, but that was not too good. But then again, it was, because I think I got my talking skills, my presentation skills, my courage, oh yes, from my dad. My mom, caregiver, right? So anyway, that's enough of my mom for right now. And let's go to my reading for today. Oh, the book that I showed you, and I'm grateful. So this is the journal that I kept, right? And this is my thesis that I wrote for Lincoln University back in 1997. And one of our professors, Dr. Z, passed away, and Journeys from Lincoln, she's been there forever, right? She sent out a link saying that he had passed, and we are looking forward to all the Lincoln alumni from the master's program. But this is what God has done, right? So let me share with you at least my from my theses, right? What I wrote in terms of my dedication. Wait a minute. Where you at? Here we go, right? This is acknowledgments, right? And this is my thesis that I wrote. So listen. First, my allegiance to you, Heavenly Father. Your grace and mercy brought me through. I'm living this moment because of you. I want to praise you and thank you too, for it was your grace and your mercy that brought me through. I often start my sharing with that prayer. Then I wrote, to the fellowship. Thanks for providing me the tools for spiritual growth. My beloved husband, Paul Bell, I'm everything I am because you loved me. My parents, Edward and Helen, springs a wealth of gratitude. Special thanks, Daddy T, for your love and support. Aunt Margaret, you showed me when to be a lady and when to be a woman. To my sisters and brothers, thanks for your unconditional love. Kenesha, DJ, thanks for your, remember you are the wind beneath my wings. Nieces and nephews, thanks for allowing me to be your favorite aunt. Chester, thanks for allowing me to trust. Earl, Susan, Phyllis, Alberta, and Ron, thanks for paving the way. Will, thanks for the support you provided from the very beginning. James, thanks for the encouragement to go for it. Samuel D. Pratchett, thanks for being there. Granny, Granddad, Uncle Tom, Uncle Kenny, Quentin, and Niecy Boo, I miss you all deeply, but I know you are proud and with me in spirit. To God be the glory. Huh? That was my acknowledgement page, right? Oh my God, I'm having a hot flash here. That was my acknowledgement page for my thesis, and my thesis was on addiction and recovery for those employees with the city of Wilmington who suffer from that disease, and how to keep their job by forming and writing a training manual for employee assistance program. So, see how God used me and continues to. All right, so let's go to my journal entry after I shared with you the picture with my daughter, and then I shared with you August the 5th, right? And now I want to share with you what I wrote on September the 14th of 1992 at 5:45 a.m. And now it's 5:47 a.m. And I'm reading what I wrote over 30 years ago. Oh, Lord, thank you. It's just not September the 14th, but 5:45. Good morning, Lord. I love you. Thank you, Lord, for waking me up to a brand new day, a day which holds the lessons of life I need just for today. Thank you, Lord, for being so patient and so willing to receive me with open arms now and forever. Lord, I don't have to tell you all that has been going on in my life, as you already know. But as usual, it is helpful for me to express myself to you in writing. I have been negligent in my writing for reasons that are unjustified. You promised, Lord, that you would never leave me, and I sincerely believe that more and more each day. I need to honestly and sincerely and willingly establish my relationship with you, Lord, for it is I that has become sidetracked. I have been willingly exhibiting behaviors that are sinful in nature and which are unpleasing to thee. Lord, little by little, I have been shown as well as told what things are unhealthy to my spiritual growth. And even with this awareness, I still allow myself to fall short. And when this happens, I become distant from thee. I stop writing. I start feeling the closeness of the Holy Spirit, and I believe that the spirit of Satan begins to try and rekindle the relationship we had. We, Lord, you and I have been building and preparing for me to do the work thou hast planned for me. As I look back over the last few months, I am not pleased at all with the behavior I've been allowing myself to partake in. I have been self-willing, and Lord, I continue to pray for strength and courage to change. See what I mean? See what I mean? When you keep a journal, oh my God. Woo! To thy own self be true. So in my journal, while I was still transitioning from that world and into this new world that I just newly found, right? And I thank God that he was able to give me the strength and courage and the know-it-all, right? To continue to do the right thing, right? But to be honest, because he knows everything, all right? So now what I want to do is share a few minutes of the recovery principle number 5. Yesterday we did recovery principle number 4. So far we have covered through my presentation. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable, right? And then we also shared how to came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and that only means soundness of mind. And 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him, right? 4, made a fearless and searching more inventory of ourselves. So in step 4, we had 2 columns, right? Assets and liabilities, right? So we put the assets aside for a minute and we took on the liabilities. And so when we, with the instructions of our sponsor or our step work guidelines, we were told to make, it was suggested, because you can't tell alcoholics what to do, but it was highly suggested that we establish 4 columns to talk about the character defects, liabilities that were discovered in writing our 4th step. What was the situation? Resentment. Who was the resentment against? My mother. What feelings did it generate? Jealousy. What was the cause? She got too much of my dad's attention. What part that I played in it? I became promiscuous. I tried to do what she did to get my dad's attention. Mm-hmm. And so you get the drift. So when we are able to dissect after being aware, acknowledging, playing the tape all the way through, so that we can go all the way back when those attitudes, ideas, behaviors were first formulated. And if we do that, we'll find out what happened to us and not what's wrong with us, okay? So here is recovery principle number 5. Wait till you hear this, because this is the step where either you're going to go all the way, you're not going to go. Either you're going to empty that trash can or you're going to keep smelling like sugar honey iced tea, as my daughter said in her letter to me, right? But the benefit of step 5 is to set us free, to reveal any and all things that we've been concealing for years and reveal them to be set free from recovery, emerge, empowered. So here's my little perspective on step 5. Whew, okay, here we go. Admit to God as you understand him, her, or the force, ourselves and another human being, the exact nature of our wrong. Wow, let's read that again. Principle recovery number 5 is admitted to God as you understand her or the force, ourselves and another human being, what? The exact nature of our wrongs. You are not the only one in this life who have done wrongs. You will never be the only one. We all, even today, do some type of harm, some type of wrong to something or somebody. We're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. Right? So we need to get to the exact nature of why we do certain things. So let me explain to you what admit means. Confess to be true or to be the case, typically with reluctance. And I don't know why that seems to be repeated. Oh, I know why. Because it was on another principle. It says, what do you believe in? What do you believe is the most important? What is the importance of admitting your wrongs to another human being? How many of you in this room will admit to another human being some of the wrong you did? How many of you would even admit it to your best friend? How many of you would admit it to your mother, your father? Huh? Why won't you admit it? Why? Fear. Being judged. Being criticized. Being turned in. Being treated differently. All those things that keep us from admitting our wrongs. And so it is freeing when we can identify one person in order for us to have the ability to share what we have done,
to another human being. Yes. Yes. So we know that this power, this force, him, her, whatever, already knows. And you already know what you did. You know what you did. They know what you did. But it's something about admitting to another human being the truth, transparency, to be set free from recovery emerging power. Yes. What do you think will be the benefit for this disclosure? You ever see a trash can full of trash? It got all kinds of junk in it. You carrying that trash can around to work, to school, to the store, to wherever you go, you're carrying that trash can. You need to find a compactor. You need to find a dumpster truck. You need to get rid of that trash that's in that can. Because if you don't, it's going to start stinking. It's going to start smelling. It's going to get heavy. Yes. So the benefit of this disclosure is to begin to clean out your insides. Yes. That inside sickness that made you pick up the drink, that made you pick up the drug, that made you go cheat on your woman, that made you go steal from that store. Yes, those things that are inside that manifest itself on the outside to do negative things. Who are you going to admit that to? So the benefit, it begins to free you, right? But this, after we did that more inventory, now we need to get to the exact nature of why we do what we do. And more importantly, get to what happened to us. Yes. How do you decide to whom to share this information with? So that's why they say this is a we program. Us. We're in it together ourselves. Because we're doing the same thing. Most of us have a better understanding of why you are disclosing that. Because we all want to heal. We all want to be set free. But make sure who you select is someone that you can relatively trust. Sometimes people even talk to a stranger. Yeah. They pull a stranger up and say, I need to get this off my chest. I need to get this out of my trash can. I did this, I said this, and woo! I told somebody. It's freeing, right? But was that person able to help him or her get to the exact nature of that situation? So, how does one get to the exact nature? Let me show you. Y'all keep me abreast of the time. What time is it? What is it? 3:46. Okay. Thank you. Recovery principle number 6. We're entirely ready to have God as you understand him, her and forth. As we understand him, her and forth. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. Did you understand recovery principle number 5? All right, so let me break it down to you before we go any further, okay? So we know, hot flashes, I'll tell you, boy, it's all good though. Thank you for allowing me to get refocused. And that's what they teach us in the 12-step spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous. How to calm down, how to breathe, how to maintain control, how to maintain an atmosphere of the spirit, right? Instead of, no. We learn to respond and practice not reacting.
Okay, so step 5, when we talked about admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being, what? The exact nature of our wrongs. So you heard just a little bit. Let's say with resentment, right? What was the exact nature of my resentment against my mother? Since I'm talking about my mother this month, right? And she was the first one that I had to resentment against because she got too much of my daddy's attention. Oh, hell to the no. Yeah, no. And so, but the exact nature, right? I didn't know it was called resentment at that time, but I look at her like, mm-hmm. You're right. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. Tell my daddy get his hands off of you. So resentment was the obvious, but the getting to the exact nature, I was jealous. He liked my mommy more than he liked me. I'm his girl, not mommy. Jealousy. Why was I jealous? Because I was envious. That's my daddy. I don't care if it's your husband or not, but that's my daddy. What was under envious? Insecurity. It ain't gonna be enough for me. No, I don't want him. I don't want to share him. I'm insecure. I want my daddy all to myself. So resentment went from jealousy, right, to envy, now insecurity. So what's under security? Rejection. If I go to him and embrace him like my mom did, am I going to be rejected? I did that. Yeah. And what's under rejection? Fear. Fear that my dad won't or don't love me. So that's how we get to the exact nature. God already knows. We already know. But to share it with somebody who's in the program and understanding the process, it's more or less like emptying that trash can. Listen, I had some crabs yesterday from Crafty Crab, took my daughter out. And listen, I've been running back and forth to the bathroom, right? And it's like having diarrhea. You trying to hold that stuff in, huh? That's the 5th step. You trying to hold that stuff in, and then all of a sudden you trying to rush to the bathroom, or you where you go. That happened to me a few times. So that's what the 5th step is, right? Helping me get into the exact nature of our character defects so that we can deal with the root and not the camouflage, which was a theme last night at the ODs, military camouflage, I guess. Okay, so let's get to the reading today, all right? So we're going to read it together as usual, and you're going to hear from my perspective, right? So let's read what it says for March the 21st, AA Daily Reflections. Material and spiritual well-being, right? Okay, let me wipe these glasses off so I can see. Now, y'all go ahead and take a sip of your coffee. I got mine right here, but right now I need some air because I'm sweating. All right, so it says here, fear. Didn't we just talk about that? Fear of economic insecurity will leave us. This is from the AA Big Book, page 84. And this is the result of doing recovery principle number 9. And so the person in recovery states from his perspective, right, having fear reduced or eliminated and having economic circumstances improve are 2 different things. When I was new in AA, I had those 2 ideas confused. I thought fear would leave me only when I started making money. However, another line from the Big Book jumped off the page one day when I was chewing on my financial difficulties. It says, for us, material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never preceded. Page 127. I suddenly understood that this promise was a guarantee. I saw that it put priorities in the correct order, that spiritual progress would diminish that terrible fear of being destitute, just as it diminished many other fears. Today, I try to use the talents God gave me to benefit others. I found that is what others valued all along. I try to remember that I no longer work for myself. I only get the use of the wealth God created. I never have owned it. My life's purpose is much clearer when I just work to help, not to possess. Oh my, oh my. Did you like that reading? Did you like that reading? Huh? What did you think about that? Fear. And you know what the acronym we use in recovery from fear? Let's go back to what fear used to mean to us before we got into recovery. Now, I'm only going to quote what was said. Sometimes when I share, I actually say the quote. And it's the quote, right? Then as people got a little clearer, a little better in recovery, they substituted one word for another word. But that first impact is, for me, is what got me. As I grew in my spiritual development, the other word came along. So I'm going to give it to you just like it was given to me. Fear. In our addiction, before we became addicted, when things didn't go our way, when we didn't get what we want, when somebody stopped us from doing what we wanted to do, what did we say? Fuck it. So the acronym for fear was fuck everything and run. How you like that? You don't want to do it? You don't want to give it to me? F you now. I'm not going to say F you now, right? And all we did was cause more harm to ourselves and made a situation worse than it was. So when we got into recovery, fear took on a different meaning. Because through these 12 spiritual principles, because I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, I've just been a proud, grateful member for 32 plus years. And what it says is that we have to face our fears. Because fear is the root of majority, if not all, of our character defects. And defects are only God-given natural instincts that has far exceeded their intended purpose. Everything else is defective to our character. So why wouldn't I want to be totally honest? Why wouldn't I want God to remove them? Why wouldn't I want to admit them? Now that I have the help to bring knowledge and awareness about them and how they have impacted my life and the lives of others. So you doggone right, fear took on a different meaning, and it says, face everything and recover. You got it? Fear, face everything, and recover. That's what the acronym for fear is, okay? And so let's get to the reading, okay? I told y'all I'm on early because I have a new assignment by God, and I'm looking forward to it. And so here it says, fear of what? Of economic insecurity will leave us. And this is as a result of the AA Big Book, page 84, right? So we're talking about spiritual and material and spiritual well-being. And some of you were saying like, what? Okay, no. Let's read what the author's intent is for you to understand. All right. So when it says fear of what? Of economic insecurity will leave us. What does that mean? Economic insecurity will leave us if we embrace, analyze, evaluate, internalize, practice these 12 spiritual principles around our economic, right, situations. That fear will leave us. And here is the person's recovery perspective. He says, having fear reduced or eliminated and having economic circumstances improve are two different things, okay? So he says, right? He says, having fear reduced or eliminated. I'm so glad he started out with that, because this program of spirituality, right, based on these spiritual principles, is about making progress and not perfection. Huh? Yes. We never know what's going to come back down the pike today. So we may think we have conquered economic insecurity, but let that bill light come in. Let them turn your electric off and see how much security you got and how insecure you are. Huh? It says having fear reduced or eliminated. Okay? And that elimination takes a process. But it will come true. I can testify to that. All right? And so he also says that and having economic circumstances improve. What does he mean by that, right? Having economic, right, circumstances improve. So when we get into Alcoholics Anonymous and we apply these spiritual principles and among a spiritual fellowship, we begin to hear how others deal with their financial situations. Some good, some bad, some what, okay? Some like what, right? The effort word, right? Or you'll hear somebody say, face it, you can get through it, huh? Well, guess what? I hear you and I hear you, but I got to do this for me, right? So that means I got to do the 12 spiritual principles and apply them to my life. And so when I do that, what he says is true. Right? Having fear reduced or eliminated and having economic circumstances improve are two different things. Absolutely. He goes on to say, when I was new in AA, I had those two ideas confused. And guess what? Those who've been around, we say, we understand, boo. We understand exactly what you mean, because guess what? We were the same way. We didn't understand that stuff, right? Because when you come into the spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous, this is all new to us, y'all. We are so used to focus on the physical and the materialistic, not the spiritual aspect of anything, right? Even when we were high, we thought we was having a spiritual what? You were tripping. That's what you were doing, right? And so the idea that they are two different things is so important. And that's why coming to meetings, doing the daily reflections like this can help us break it down. And so I thought fear would leave me only when I started making money. Well, guess what? And what he's saying is, okay, if I'm in recovery now, and I got all these bills, and but if I get a job, I can start making money, and the fear will relieve me. I start paying my bills. Not for everybody, maybe for some, and definitely not for me, because guess what? Money was a trigger for me. I learned that in my 4th step, that money was a trigger for me. When I know I'm getting money, my hands get sweaty. I start thinking crazy. My stomach start turning. I get diarrhea because I know that money will buy me some crack. I know that money will buy me some alcohol. I know that money that John is going to give me is going to get me high. So money was a trigger for me. And it didn't eliminate the fear. Okay? But what it did was show me that was not the answer. Okay? And so, but he realized I thought fear, he said he thought would leave him only when he started making money. However, another line from the big book jumped off the page one day when he was chewing on his financial difficulties. Y'all listen to this. It says, for us, people in recovery, for us, well-being always followed spiritual progress. Did you hear that? Right? He said for us, material well-being, right? Material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never preceded. Isn't that amazing? Go to page 127 of the big book and read what it says. For us, material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never preceded it, right? So it's saying that spiritual progress, right? It was always followed by material well-being, okay? But it's really saying to us, material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never preceded it, right? And then he said he suddenly realized and understood that this promise was guaranteed. Fear of economic insecurity will leave us. That is one of the promises after step 9. I'm telling you, it's the truth. I experienced for myself and so many others. I no longer had that fear of financial or economic insecurity. No, I do not. Because when I did some crazy things, like go back to prostituting, like stealing. God took a while to help me with that area. Oh, yes, that was one of the character defects I picked up from my mom and my auntie, right? You always steal from your man. You always steal from your partner. Why? Because they will never give you enough, or they don't give you nothing, so you just take it. You see these dentures? The last time I stole from somebody, and it wasn't that far long. Wasn't that long ago. I could have lost these dentures, but thank God I was restored to soundness of mind. So listen, I'm transparent. I tell you. So he says, I saw that I suddenly understood that this promise was guaranteed, right? And then he says, I saw that it put priorities in the correct order, that spiritual progress would diminish that terrible fear of being destitute, right? Destitute. See, that's why I go to my meetings every day, to hear stuff like this. Huh? You're saying, like, if I embrace these spiritual principles and begin to hear other people's experience, strength, and hope, and then apply them to my own personal life, and then little by little, I begin to see and feel and have the serenity, and that the fear diminishes. Yes, right? Why? Because I'm applying spiritual principles to a physical and materialistic world, as Donald Lawrence always says. We are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. No, we are spiritual beings living and walking in this natural body on this earthly journey called life. This is what the spiritual principles do to you, I tell you. All right, so let's go on. Then he says, right, they would diminish that terrible feeling, the fear of being destitute, just as it diminished many other fears. Can I tell you the biggest fear that people with this disease of alcoholism and drug addiction have? I'll never get better. I'm going to die like this. It can't happen to me. It won't happen to me. As much as I want to stop, I'm afraid that I can't stop, right? I fear not having what makes me feel good, but at the same time destroy my life. And so a lot of us stay out there because we believe that's how we're going to die, instead of taking that fear and facing everything and recover. But let me tell you what's going to help us, you, me, face that fear is every knee shall bow and every mouth will confess that he is Lord. You hear me? It says every knee shall bow. And that's what it takes for each and every one of us to get to the point, often, if not most times, through humiliation, in order to have some humility and say, help me. That fear no longer is chained to the wall. It has broken when we say, help me. And he does. All right, I got a few more minutes, okay? So then he says, today I try to use the talents God gave me to benefit others. Today, I try to use the talent God gave me to benefit others. Do I need to say any more? I just need to help save one. And through my 32 plus years, I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I saved one. Someone at my church yesterday, I had some emotional feelings going on. Some were self-centered, some were selfish, right? I had to own that, right? I had an issue with somebody telling me no, right? And I took it personal. But thank God, where I was, 3 women surrounded me and instantly prayed with me, because Edwina was in her stuff. I don't believe it was of God. I just believe it was of the devil. And Edwina wasn't what she wanted when she wanted it. So I own that. But these ladies prayed for me. But at the end of the service, these 2 women came up to me and said, I read your article, and I want to tell you, how much we admire you. We had no idea. You went through that. And look at you. Look what God has done. You helped me. You helped us so much. Thank you, Edwina. Thank you. It was 1, but it was 2, but it was 1. And then, I got to share this. I'm sorry. I got to share this. Oh my God. There was a moment when God just said, boo-boo. You are among the spiritual elite. Yes, you are, because you're obedient and you yield and you are doing my work. The choir leader who I admire very, very much. But I can only be myself, I don't know how to be anybody else. I just don't. I pretended so long. I wore the mask so long, right? And recovery has freed me to be who I am. And I remember my recovery, and this is the same kind of experience that God took me to another spiritual level. Because when I was in my early recovery, I remember my sponsor sending me to a spiritual retreat, right? And I asked her where it was going to be, and I thought she said a cemetery, right? And I was like, damn, that's going to be some hell of a retreat. But it was called a seminary, but I never heard the word seminary. But anyway, at this retreat, me and my Black girlfriend was among all these white women in recovery, and they kept calling her sister this, sister that, sister that. I said to my Black friend, what's up with that? She ain't Black? Because where I came from, Black power, sisterhood, right? She said that Weena, she's a nun. I was like, a nun? What am I doing here with a nun? What am I doing here with a nun? I feel as though I'm the scum of the earth. And she's up here with God. How am I in the presence of a nun? And God used that experience to show me that he loves her just as much as he loves me. And the only thing that brought us together was our disease of alcoholism. So yesterday, my choir leader came down. And she came down several times. Sometimes I'm thinking she coming to, close your leg. I feel like I'm being disciplined, but in a caring, loving way. Because I know she loves me. But she did something that just blew my mind. She took a selfie with me. She took a selfie with me. God showed me through that I love you just as much as I love her. And she yielded to the Spirit because she knew something. She knew something, or God gave her something, and she wanted to take a selfie with me, the scum of the earth, a wretch like me, an alcoholic in recovery, a prostitute, right, in recovery, a drug addict in recovery, but one who is reaching out to be better because I am sick with the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction, and I'm in recovery. I want to be set free. So you know who you are, and I just want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to the young ladies that prayed for me. I want to say thank you for the one who called and followed up with me. But it goes to show you, right, how important things are when we do what we're supposed to do, right? All right, I got 1 minute. All right, I didn't even get to the end, but I just needed to share that. Okay, and so it just goes to show us, right, that what happens is, right, I try to remember, right, that I no longer work for myself, That's my attitude. Listen. I got all these so-called bosses, right? I said to them, no, you ain't my boss. No, you're not. I lost my fear of man. I am not intimidated by any man. Do you hear me? No, I'm not. I work for God. He's my boss. He just placed you in my life so I can learn something, good, bad, or indifferent. How about that? So I don't work for myself. I work for God, and I love working for God, right? And it says here, I only get the use of the wealth God created. I never have owned it. My life purpose is much clearer when I just work to help, not to possess. I ain't got time to go into all that. All I can say in closing is that there, by the grace of God, there go I. He has prepared me, delivered me, molded me, shaped me, ordered my steps from underneath that parked car. Underneath that parked car, yes, 32 plus years ago, from underneath that parked car. Yes, you see me, yes, underneath that parked car. So amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, and now I see. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it looks like I'll be early. I may keep the time. I don't know. Whatever God's tell me to do, I yield. Because I'm dancing in the spirit. Have a blessed day. And if nobody told you they love you today, I love you. You love me. We are one big family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? And if it's God's will that we are rejoined tomorrow, I'll be here just to help save one more, because I work for the Lord. Yes. Yesterday, in talking with my daughter, I was talking, and my top teeth came out. Oh, you have to learn to laugh at yourself. To God be the glory. He loves you, and so do I. Wear the mask, social distancing, right? Wash your hands, get vaccinated, right? Get your booster shot, right? Let the spirituality precede everything else. When you apply these spiritual principles to this earthly journey and to the materialistic and physical conditions of the world, you wear the world like a loose garment. I understand that now. You see my shirt, From Crack to Christ. This is my testimonial clothing line. Yeah, see? I'm saying from crack to Christ. If you want one, call me. If you need someone to talk to, call me. Spiritual satisfaction guaranteed. Call me. I love y'all. I cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, and that's okay. Bye. Lord, I love you. I got to